Hi, guys. Welcome to a little bit of woo. I'm Jill Thomas. I'm so happy to see you guys. I just thought I would talk, do a little quick episode here. Some stuff happened in the news that I wanted to talk about. Okay. So, first things first, this is being delivered for entertainment purposes only. I am not a doctor, a lawyer, a stock portfolio manager. I'm kind of nobody in this, and you should always use your own intuition. This is for entertainment purposes only. If I say something not nice about something someone has done, just assume the word allegedly is in front of it, even if I haven't said it. And in spite of the fact that I am often right, I am sometimes just plain wrong. And all of us that do this work are that. So disclosure given. Love you guys. I wanted to talk a little bit about what's happening. Okay, so for some of you, you may have heard Portland lost its case. The judges said that he was allowed to do some of what he was asking. That's what I had predicted. What they are asking for is now, I'm going to say this wrong, what's called an en banc review, which means that basically the same case is they're asking that the same case go to 11 judges instead of 3. I do think that's going to happen. I guess that's kind of rare. I looked on the internet. Most of the time when that's requested, it's kicked back. But this case is more significant, so I think I see it happening. And I do see it going in the favor of Portland and also Chicago because those cases are kind of connected now. Um, but interestingly enough, I do feel like the 47 administration is realizing that this could be a losing strategy. So they're going to try and get the states under control in a different way. And I do see an approach coming where they perhaps say something like, and it probably won't be this exact same thing. It might be, though. Okay. Something like, if you don't get your crime rate under a certain level, then we're going to withhold federal money or something like that. They're going to try a different approach because what they're doing is they're hoping for resistance that they can say this is the Insurrection Act. While it's met all the parameters, people have been hurt. Now we can go in and do whatever we want, and it's just so far it's not happening. Chicago, Portland, not taking the bait. You guys, LA, it's not happened. So they're going to try a different approach. I do see that different approach happening probably closer to the holidays. I feels like they're realizing this just isn't working. And also, I do see the Supreme Court picking up the case, but the delays, it feels like the delays, like they want to take action now, and the delay is causing the frustration. Okay. And now they're threatening San Francisco. So, ooh, yeah. Anyway, I do see something happening in San Francisco. I do feel like there might be some National Guard approach there. That is an area I've been to it. I personally was attacked when I was in San Francisco, so I know that area does have a much higher crime rate than some of these other communities. Maybe a little bit more police presence would be good there. Okay, but that's just my opinion. Okay, but I do see some additional forces. Actually, something happening in San Francisco where they do have some National Guard. And I don't know that the local community will put up as much of a fight because there are certain areas of San Francisco, and you guys who live there know what I'm talking about, where it would be nice to see a lot more cops. It would be nice. Anyway, uh, okay, so the other thing I'm seeing now, I told you guys every Friday there's some kind of a Friday quasi. I do feel like this Friday we may be seeing some new military action being announced again in an effort to, kind of distract us from the Epstein, but also in an effort to distract from the momentum of what happened with the No Kings rally. That really bothered them, that people came out in mass and protested, and they're realizing, that they didn't get anybody to do anything violent. For the most part, these protests were peaceful. Okay, you guys. So I do feel like there's going to be something like that. I also was seeing that the government shutdown, I still predict that it's going to happen this week. I'm sorry, that it's going to end this week. I feel like it might even happen on Friday. Uh, and I also feel like if it's not Friday, it's going to be the first part of next week, but it's imminently happening because the Democrats, I think, are going to cave on some of this and realize, maybe we could live to fight another day, fight this battle again later, because this approach that they're doing isn't working either. So I do feel like that's going to happen probably as part of the Friday announcement. I do think that 47 may say, something like, "Hey, I'm taking credit. Here's another war I've stopped, the war in the Congress and the House." It'll be something like that. They'll have a PR spin to it, and they're working on the wording of that right now. I actually see them behind closed doors. Like, how can we spin this? Because calling the No Kings rally an anti-American protest didn't work PR wise. I mean, some of their other phrases do work because they're kind of funny, but this approach didn't work at all. Nobody bought that. Okay, nobody was buying that. The other thing I want to talk about, I kind of didn't know about this. There was a very childish show of force in the Camp Pendleton area that shut down the I-5 between San Diego and Los Angeles. Now, for those of you who live in that area, for those of you who don't live in that area, we're talking about a massively busy corridor here. And on a Saturday, it is just really busy through that area. It's like 8 lanes of traffic, 4 each way. Actually, I think it might even be 10 now. And to have to shut that down, a lot of Californians were really, really pissed. It wasn't necessary for them to be firing. They were actually firing live ammo over the freeway, apparently. Not necessary. Camp Pendleton does these exercises all the time, and they do manage to do it without shutting down the freeway. So it was definitely a show of force. It also felt like they were trying to give Fox News something else to report on. And so they were having these demonstration so that there could be some other narrative that they could put forward. I didn't know about it because I didn't watch any of that. I just noticed that there was no helicopter stew footage flying over the Los Angeles protests, and I missed that because he's a Southern California staple, and he was not. I was kind of bummed. I don't have regular news, so I can only see what's on YouTube. The other thing I wanted to talk about, gosh, you guys, I talked about this before, how I didn't feel like the Middle East thing was going to be a real rock solid hold. It does feel like it's really, really shaky. We're seeing more skirmishes. When I tuned into this long term, I do feel like Qatar has a big role in this. I'm probably saying the name wrong. Everybody says it differently, guys. I don't. How does somebody from Qatar say it? If you're in the comments, let me know if it's Qatar or Qatar. But what I was seeing is that they have a big role in this, probably more than 47 does, and they're very upset about what's going on. So I do feel like this Middle East thing will get much more peaceful, but I'm afraid there's going to be some additional conditions put on top. And I do see that. I'm trying to figure out how to say this so I don't get demonetized. I may have to just say it. Okay, so I do feel like the leader of Israel is going to have to step down. I also do feel like they may ask for Hamas to no longer be in charge. I feel like Hamas still will have an influence, but I do see the leader of Israel no longer being in charge of this. And when that happens, it will be much more peaceful because I see the next leadership having a different approach to this. I just feel like there's too many egos and too much involved here. And if we don't have that particular leader, if that particular leader is still involved, the approach that's happening right now is going to continue. Okay, it's like the culture of the Israeli government, allegedly for entertainment purposes only. But that's what I'm seeing. I am seeing though that when he is no longer in charge, which I can't say when. It feels like in the next few months, first part of next year. I see a lot of things happening kind of the first part of next year and into like February for some reason. I don't know if something happens in the world. Maybe I'll be talking about that in my 2026 predictions. But I do see Netanyahu down, no longer in charge, not off the planet, but no longer in charge at some point. And when that happens, that's when we will see meaningful peace in the Middle East. And I do see some other countries slapping them for things that they've done, especially when they go in and see all of the things that have happened. Let's put it that way. Okay. Okay, I got a list. Oh, I need better glasses, I'm thinking here. Okay. Oh, yes. I wanted to talk about Epstein. So, you guys, I do see a lot more disclosures coming before the end of the year. I would say before the end of November, I think we're going to start getting bigger chunks about the Epstein files, and this is really going to hurt both the American government and the British royal family. You guys don't need me to tell you that creepy uncle has been involved with the Epstein, is already in creepy Uncle Andrew, sorry, has been it's been all over the news, but I feel like there's going to be more information coming out about not other members of the royal family, but people who knew and didn't do anything. And kind of the way it was, there's a word for it, enabled. That's the word I'm looking for. It is going to end up staining both houses here quite a bit. And we will have a lot of pushback from British citizens. It's like, why are we paying for these people to do these bad things? When really I think it was just more isolated event, but it does feel like other people knew about it and didn't put a stop to it, and that feels like that's gonna come out is what I'm hearing. Not the specific actions, not the stuff that, is being alleged in the book, but Giuffre's book. I'm sorry that she has passed, but she has passed, and her book, it just came out, I think, yesterday. For some reason, her name is escaping me. You guys are gonna put it in the comments and just know that I appreciate that. Thank you. But I do see this really affecting both governments because it's gonna be people on both sides of the aisle, and we're gonna be seeing it in the news quite a bit, and it's gonna be kind of like one disclosure after another. The other thing that came up when I tuned into the royal family is that we're gonna be hearing about, and this is, like, further off. I wanna say it's a couple of years down, but a couple of years from now, I think we're gonna be seeing, actually, no, I feel like we're gonna be seeing Meghan Markle and Harry getting divorced. There's gonna be some stuff that comes out that there's gonna be some tea spilled. I do feel like Meghan Markle will file first, and I feel like she's gonna try and slap a restraining order, not restraining order, private, make everything private, keep it a gag order on all of the files and all of that, but stuff is gonna leak out, and I do feel like Meghan Markle and, uh, that there was some connection with the royal family before. Like, I feel like she knew Uncle Andrew before. I was seeing that she had met him either through, like, her contacts in Hollywood. Now, I wasn't saying she's connected with Epstein, I wasn't saying that. But I was feeling like there was some relationship connection with her and him before, even though she says she doesn't know anything about it. And I think that was part of her wanting to become a part of the royal family, was that there was some acknowledgement of how that game is played and wanting to play that game as well. I'm just saying. No, I'm not saying she doesn't love Harry, that she didn't love Harry, but I do feel like we're gonna be hearing about there was a bit of a connection before. I feel like she did actually know him before. I'm just saying. I feel like that's come out. There may be some pictures or something that comes out where we see that Andrew and Meghan Markle actually had friendship. I'm not gonna say friendship, but they had met. Let's put it that way. Okay. The next couple of weeks, I want to kind of put out just a little friendly warning. I would say warning. Be cautious because I do see some lone wolf type tourism type incidents in the next couple of weeks. We've already seen a few of those already, but I do feel like there'll be some isolated things in the next couple of weeks. I feel like it'll be elevated. Um, I'm not saying you guys shouldn't go out and do things in public. I absolutely intend to. I'm saying if you're feeling uncomfortable, just listen to your intuition more. Most of what you're going to be seeing, almost all of it, you're going to be seeing it on TV. But there will be those of you who get a feeling or intuitive hit that maybe you should sit this event out, or maybe you should just not do that. You're not feeling it today. Pay attention to your intuition. You know stuff. You guys know a lot more than you realize. I'm just saying, you guys, give yourselves a little bit of credit here. Also, I am seeing, and this has been in the news, so I'm just going to say I'm seeing an escalation, a lot more of these measles outbreaks coming out throughout the country. I'm feeling like we're going to be seeing it on the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, Washington, California more than we're already seeing it. I feel like we're already seeing it. I think I heard about it being in Utah and Texas too, but I feel like it's going to be a much wider problem than it has been, than we've been hearing about. I feel like it's a bigger problem than we're hearing, and it's just the information isn't coming out in the news as much. But it does feel like we're going to be hearing it more in the news. Now, this is another one of those, use your intuition. If you feel like you should be wearing a mask in public, then you should do that. You should do that. If you don't, then use your intuition on that as well. But I am seeing more of this happening. And I am seeing, as a result of some of these outbreaks, the CDC, which is having trouble right now because the government seems to be attacking it for some reason. I don't know why. I do see what I'm going to call a CDC West opening up in the California, Oregon, and Washington. I do feel like the California, Oregon, and Washington are going to contribute to this because I feel like there's going to be some additional science that is going to be sponsored by these states, some additional research. Now, I think that's coming in 2026, but I think it's being initiated because of these kinds of things. And right now, I believe the CDC is just plain closed, because of the government. I see it as being a good thing. It's going to be part of that alliance that's between those governors and that states. But we are going to be seeing, I feel like, two competing CDCs. It may have a different name, but something like that is going to be opening up in California. Californians are gonna be paying for part of it. Actually, I do see all 3 of those states paying for part of it, but I also see that some of the additional money is going to be coming from the for-profit part of it, where they develop things and then they sell them to the public, and I feel like it may be paying for itself in some ways. I can't see how that plays out if it's just that they develop special techniques or products, I don't know, but I was seeing them the money that it's almost like the Harvard research where the money is paid into Harvard and then the products that are created create money. It does feel like there's something that's gonna be coming there. Uh, I'm gonna continue to say what I've been seeing. I still see that we're going to see Vance is gonna be president either by the end of the year or the first part of next year, and that's we're gonna see some big cabinet changes. Now, I did feel like they've been wanting to change cabinet, particularly Kash Patel, but I think they're realizing that they're going to be a change of administration here soon, and then they can easily get rid of Kash Patel and also eventually Hegseth. I'm not sure how long he's gonna stick around because they're not happy with what's going on. I think Vance is not happy with what's going on. I think I don't see Vance liking Hegseth at all. Um, but if they do it with a change of administration, they can claim that that's what it was and not that they did any actions that they weren't happy about. I do see big cabinet changes happening with the change of administration, and lots of things are going to shift. And I do feel like we're going to stop seeing these threats of the military going into states after Vance becomes president, because again, they're realizing that this is a losing strategy, you guys. Okay. Next year, I want to tell you a little bit about some things I was seeing for next year because I think you guys are scared of stuff, okay? I do see some big shakeups in the Supreme Court coming next year with the release of the Epstein files. I'm not saying that members of the Supreme Court are in it. I'm not saying they aren't. I'm saying allegedly, when that information comes out, we're going to be seeing a lot more people resigning and people, I want to say air quotes retiring, but maybe they're retiring because they got the writing on the wall. The other thing, though, the second scandal that I see coming is going to be financial in nature. And I do feel like that is going to be a big part of what gets the Supreme Court shakeup. And I do see them, I don't know if it's in 2026 or if it's later, but I do eventually see them adding a couple of seats to the Supreme Court so that it's much more balanced. I do see that happening a bit later. Okay. The other thing I was going to talk about with China, I know that we're doing, I don't know if you guys saw this on the news. I didn't know this was happening either. Trump is like quietly canceling tariffs as a result of receiving gifts. I mean, oh gosh, did I say that out loud? Oh my gosh. I mean, because he was had some special requests to opt out of certain products are not going to be receiving these additional tariffs. So he's been quietly kind of untariffing a bunch of things. China's playing the long game with this because they really don't care. They don't see this lasting for that long. They care, yes, about the tariffs, but they understand that they feel like if they sit back and just watch it play out, that it'll work out in their favor. And I think they're right. Actually, doing some passive aggressive things like saying they're sending the mineral orders, but the ships never arrive. Oh my God, did we forget to send those? I'm so sorry. There's going to be some behaviors like that, but I do feel like China is playing the long game, you guys. China's playing the long game. As far as 47's health, I know everybody's worried about it, and maybe worried isn't the right word. They're concerned. His team is definitely concerned. It is going downhill. You guys can see it. It's happening before our eyes. And I'm sorry, I don't wish bad on anyone. I don't want anyone to suffer. But it is going to mean a change of administration, which I think a lot of people would like to see. Okay. And I think that people will be celebrating some changes happening in the administration, at least initially. And then there will, what the plans for this next president will come out, might change their opinion on that. But that's what I'm seeing. Okay, you guys. Ultimately, it's all going to be okay. It's going to be fine. You guys are going to be fine. I do see some jobs returning to the marketplace maybe 3/4 of the way into the second quarter, third quarter of next year. I do see, and I've said this before, I do see the housing market in some trouble, and specifically in certain areas of the country, maybe not where you live. Okay, so just keep in mind your market might be different. But I do see some government interventions on this as part of 2026. I do see them having things like incentives to sell the house that you're in or incentives to buy the house that you want to buy. I do see some special stuff being put out to try and get movement on the housing market because it's going to be locked up. I'm seeing an absolute credit crunch happening in 2026. So, having said that, I'm not saying, hey, buy a house now because you're going to be a credit crunch in 2026. There's a credit crunch kind of going on now, you guys, especially if you're, a higher risk buyer wanting to buy a car. Good luck with that right now. Um, but I am seeing some changes happening in that. Things are going to be better, but it's going to be a bit crunchy for the next couple of weeks and just watch it, watch what you're consuming, watch what you're paying attention to on TV. And sometimes it's okay to just turn off the news and watch Sister Wives. I am going to do okay, you guys, just for fun. I'm going to do a little shorter video on predictions for what's going to happen to the cast of Sister Wives later on because I thought, just for fun. So anyway, if you guys are interested in that, just watch for it. It's going to be a shorter video. I don't know if anybody's going to watch it but me. But I'm gonna do that for fun. See how that goes because I like to play. Okay, a couple of cards. I'm only gonna pull 3 this time, unless it's 3 bad cards, in which case I'll pull 4. We'll see what I got. I know it's gonna be a good week. It's just gonna be an interesting, and I see for a lot of people some unpleasant disclosures happening. Ooh, yeah, we're definitely pulling 4 cards. Okay, some unpleasant disclosures happening, but it's ultimately going to be okay. Yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about here. The High Priestess, hidden information, stuff coming out that you don't know about. This could be for the collective or just for you personally. If you're watching this and this is for you, stuff's coming out that is going to result in death, which is not death. It's not that. It is just an ending of a cycle, an ending of a way of approaching things. Death cards usually is often a good thing. It's like the end of an old era, something new coming in, a little bit of conflict around this issue. And the final card was, I love this card, the Fool, which is trust of a child. Trust the process. Just trust that everything's going to be okay because it is. It's going to be okay, you guys. You guys are all going to be fine. It's going to be good. You're going to have a job. There's going to be, oh, this actually fell out of the deck, so I'm just going to pull it. 6 of Swords, which is moving out of troubled waters into something new. So moving away from something into something new. And that is definitely relevant for what's happening, you guys. I love you. Please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And if you're in a state where you have the option of putting the hype button, I know not everybody does. I don't even have it on mine, guys. I can't do it either. I would really appreciate it. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps people see this video and that makes me happy. Thank you guys. I love you so much. And I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.